Okay, so let's get back into this. So this says a brutal year for game developers. How one studio made it through. I don't know. Iron Galaxy Studio CEO, co-CEO Chelsea Blasco. All right, get wrecked, Chelsea Blasco. And I'll tell you guys why. I'll read this and then I'm gonna put this studio on blast. Um, In a year of bad news for many video game studios, Chelsea Blasco has a more upbeat story to share about how her team made it through. Iron Galaxy, where Blasco is co-CEO, has actually grown in 2023. That's despite taking the kind of hard hit near the start of the year that knocked down so many other studios. The company, which began in Chicago 15 years ago, operates primarily as a work-for-hire studio that has co-developed or supported projects from Activision, Bethesda, Xbox, PlayStation, and more. After weathering a major game cancellation, it will end the year with headcount up by more than 30 people. It's definitely been an odd year, Blasco tells Axios. In January, Iron Galaxy and publisher Epic announced they were shutting down Rumbleverse, a live service wrestling battle royale that Blasco's team had spent a few years developing. The game had launched with expansive plans for continued operation just a prior August. Excuse me. We had millions of people playing it. We just didn't have people spending money on it, Blasco remembers. Epic told Iron Galaxy of the looming closure in late of last year, sending the studio scrambling to find work for about 65 developers, a third of the company who had been on the game. Obviously, the holidays are not the ideal time to be trying to get a bunch of deals, Blasco says. Studio turned to development partners it had been too busy to accept offers from, reconnected with prior partners like Sony's Naughty Dog studio, this is what I'm going to talk about, and recommitted to work for higher gigs after Rumbleverse's failure. They are the ones that got contracted by Naughty Dog to do the Last of Us Part 1 port to PC. And it was a hot piece of garbo. It was gross. Now, they're not the only ones that deserve criticism here. But that game was a piece of crap. Naughty Dog didn't vet the product properly, and they pushed it out. What basically Iron Galaxy was like, oh, here you go. Here's your product you asked for, from us. We got it done. It's ready for the PC. And Naughty Dog was like, cool, thanks, and just put it on the shelves. They didn't vet it. They didn't test it. They didn't do crap for it. They just pushed it out, and they baited a bunch of people into buying a very popular game that hadn't been on PC, and it sucked. So, I'm not going to let people forget that. So, in my opinion, if companies that should be suffering, like Iron Galaxy, yeah, and Naughty Dog, aren't, why aren't they when they are doing crap like this to us as the consumer, right? The outreach work resulted in 0 layoffs, Blasco says, gotten most of the people placed on project. By the way, Iron Galaxy has done other terrible ports as well in the past. What were some of the other bad Iron Galaxy ports? Let's call them out real quick. Yep, this is obviously the first thing that comes up is the Naughty Dog debacle. Yep. Again, Naughty Dog deserves a lot of the criticism there as well. Stop giving ports to Iron Galaxy. This is a Steam community. Yep. Uncharted. Iron Galaxy pulls an Arkham Knight on the Last of Us Part 1 PC port. The Arkham Knight thing was bad. Yep. They are notorious for doing this kind of crap. Yet companies still contract them out. Look into it. Look into it. It's not like this is the first time they've done this kind of thing either. And so unfortunately, I don't know why companies keep using them to do this kind of thing, other than they're willing. The only thing I can gather and assume is that companies are getting a good price point from Iron Galaxy to be contracted to perform these kinds of this kind of work. And they're like, well, which means that Iron Galaxy sucks, and it means the companies that are willing to contract Iron Galaxy suck as well. And that's the only thing I can assume. If there is a trend of a company doing bad things, which there's a history of Iron Galaxy being bad at porting games, and then Naughty Dog most recently comes in and goes, oh, hey, will you guys port this game for us too? Like, what did we expect to happen? What did Naughty Dog expect to happen? Right? And then Naughty Dog also didn't vet the product properly, pushed it out, and baited a bunch of people into buying it. Naughty Dog deserves a lot of criticism as well. Big picture. Blasco says Rumble versus cancellation could have been devastating to the studio a decade ago, but she highlights a few factors that made a difference. Taking on multiple projects at once helped soften the blow. Iron Galaxy's in-house rule, bent during the peak of Rumble versus development, is to not put more than a third of the studio on any project, maintaining relationships, keeping costs down by pushing out subpar products, apparently, keeping teams together. Sorry, dude. I'm not buying it, man. It's this is a company that's been doing some poor work for a long time, and they're gonna be like trying to have an article written up about how they've been able to sustain through all these terrible layoffs we've been seeing in the industry for so long now. I don't feel like they're one that should. To be honest, I don't want to see a studio like this survive. They're doing terrible work. And as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the studios I would rather see get shut up. I don't want to see people get laid off. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But business is business. And if you're not producing quality products, you should suffer as a business. Even if that means you go away. Because if you can't create quality products, and if you can't learn from your mistakes, which apparently Iron Galaxy can't do, because they keep pushing out terrible ports, they've historically shown us that they'll do this time and time again. Why are they surviving over other studios? Feels bad, man.